Hello, and welcome back to When America Had Talent. This is going to be between David Letterman and Johnny Carson, mid-'80s. I'm going to let the video speak for itself, but if you actually know anything about the law, Judge Wapner actually sticks to common law, so you'll see.
Remember the last time you were out about 3 or 4 months ago?
Right.
David has a home out in Malibu. I won't mention exactly where it is because we were only about 8 blocks apart. And I was out walking one day.
Oh, yeah. Can you believe that? He's out walking?
And I passed his house, and I saw this beat-up red pickup truck. I don't know how old it is, 15 or 20 years old.
73 Chevy, and it's not what I would call beat up.
Well, we're going to find out. And I said to David, I called him, we were talking on the phone, and I said, I thought you had it out in front of the house because when tourists would come by, even though you have very expensive sport cars in your garage, you put that out so people would come back and say, hey, my God, he's just like us. He drives a pickup truck. You know, you leave it there so everybody can see it. It's intruding on the street.
Yeah.
Well, being a member of the Malibu Community Property Owners Association, I went by your house this morning on the way to work.
No.
And I want to show you. I took this picture myself. Right in front of David's house. Now, if you drive around Malibu, it's a nice neighborhood, and I think this potentially, as a homeowner, is a bit of an eyesore.
No, it's not.
It is, even though it's nice. And so, today, and I will take full responsibility for this, call me vigilante, if you wish, I dispatched some people to your home, because I've mentioned this to you before.
Oh, good.
About
This
the
is
truck.
what I need. Strangers roaming around in my front yard.
So, would you roll the tape that we made this afternoon since you have come? This is a view of the truck. I want you to see this fine automobile close up. Take a look at the appointments inside the cab.
It was locked.
Now look at this. Look at the seat. This is David's truck.
Yeah.
Look at this fine automobile parked out in front of expensive homes in Malibu. Rust spots. This thing is disintegrating. So I said to the people in Malibu, do you really want this around? Now you have to admit, David, we talked about this before.
Yeah.
So here's what we did, and I take full responsibility for this.
Oh.
We'll roll into the next tape, Bob. We're just rolling ahead here. This happened late this afternoon while you were at the studio.
Yeah.
So here we go.
Oh, good. Steal it. Sure. What, did you get some of Gaddafi's boys to go out there? What the hell is this? They're stealing a truck.
Now we had a neighborhood watch. We had to move very quickly.
Oh, God. So what's next? Kidnapping my girlfriend?
I thought
That'd
this
be
was
good. No.
And there you go. I figured now, as a private, I figured as a citizen, I did have a right to improve the community. So, David.
So it's like a citizen's arrest here?
David, this is your truck. Look at this fine.
Wait a minute. He scratched the damn truck. This wasn't here before. Get in touch with the Highway Patrol.
No.
My truck has been stolen. It's been returned, but I am pressing charges.
Okay, David. Now, I tell you what I'll do. I'll make you a deal.
Like a little auto theft clinic for the kids.
That's
watching
right.
At home tonight.
Tell you what I really want to do. I'd like to buy the truck from you so I can put it in front of my house. So people will come by and say, oh, God, that Johnny Carson's a real Midwesterner. Look, he drives that piece of crap like that. That's right, a piece of crap. We'll be back in a moment. To review our case and to reach a just decision, we agreed to ask a retired municipal and Superior Court judge who has been the presiding judge for 5 years on the People's Court. Would you welcome, please, Judge Joseph Wapner.
Gentlemen, since this is an arbitration, I'm going to have to ask you to be sworn, if you don't mind. You and each of you do solemnly swear the testimony you are about to give in these proceedings shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
More or less, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. There better be more.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Do I begin, Judge? What happens here?
You wait for me, Mr. Letterman.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Letterman,
You're no Sandra Day O'Connor. Please. Probably got off to a wrong start there, didn't I?
Mr. Letterman, my understanding is that you have some complaint about a truck that was, you allege Mr. Carson took from you?
Absolutely. I tell you...
Where was that truck, sir?
If I could interrupt, if it pleased the court...
It wouldn't please me at all.
If I could interrupt here just a second. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we found out that there was going to be an opening on the Supreme Court, and I think myself and the rest of America just naturally assumed you'd be going to Washington. You know, now it's kind of like a better luck next time token, and I hope you enjoy those, you and Mrs. Wapner.
Mr. Letterman, the price isn't right. Now, let's get to the truck.
Yes, sir.
What kind of truck is it?
Your Honor, tonight you're going to hear a story.
No, I don't want to hear the story. What kind of truck is it?
It's a fleet-side, half-ton 1973 Chevrolet pickup truck, roughly 75,000 miles on it.
All right, good. Where was it parked when you allege it was taken?
Right in front of my home, where it's always parked.
That's on the street?
On the street, yes, sir.
Legally parked there?
Absolutely.
Okay, just ask the question. And you claim that Mr. Carson or someone on his behalf took it?
Absolutely. I have proof to that effect, too. Exhibit A. May I introduce Exhibit A at this point?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, can we roll the videotape? This happened April 18th, 1986. A team of terrorists attacked my home. This man you see in the picture was earlier seen boarding the Achille Lauro. So there it is being carted away. And next, you'll see it here in the studio. Now pay close attention, Judge, if you will, to the left front headlight. There it is. See, it's in perfect working condition as of that night, 4/18/86. And I'd like to thank Mr. Zapruder for the footage. Now, I also have some photographs to indicate that it was damaged after that fact. The truck was...
I'll get to the damages, if you don't mind. Mr. Carson, did you have that truck taken away and brought to the studio?
Your Honor, Mr. Letterman used the word stolen.
No, I didn't say stolen. Yeah. I know he used the word, but I didn't.
Yes, sir, I did remove the truck from the premises.
All right.
An illegally parked truck on county property.
I object, Your Honor. I object.
Well, don't object. It's not going to help you any. Why was it illegally parked, sir?
May I offer an evidence, Your Honor?
Yes,
a
sir.
picture here?
Yes.
Please show this to you and then show it to our viewing audience. You can see the truck parked partly on the street and on county property, not on the setback.
All right.
On the setback? What the hell's a setback? You park on the setback?
I did remove this as a private and public nuisance from the neighborhood.
Why do you consider it a public nuisance?
Yeah. I'd like to hear that.
Your Honor, very often I have people come to my home at night, and because the truck is an eyesore and a relic, I would like to introduce first, Your Honor, if I may, some tape of the truck to show the condition it was in, to show you why it was removed. May we have that tape, please, to show you the condition of this fine vehicle. Here is the inside of this finely maintained automobile. You see this? Okay. And of course, just let me and see. Here's the well-kept interior of the truck. Then.
All right. I'll admit that it needs to be waxed.
Your Honor, for Mr. Letterman accused me of damaging his truck is somewhat like Emmett Kelly accusing me of damaging his clothing. I removed it as a public nuisance because people who often come to my house will go out of their way not to see this nuisance. When I jog at night, the truck is parked close to the street. I have to avoid the truck and actually run with the traffic at my back.
Your Honor, may I interject something?
How long is the truck, though, Mr. Carson?
How long?
Yeah. How long does it take you to get around this truck?
Your Honor, may I make a point here? I don't
You
think...
didn't answer my question yet.
Yes, listen to the judge. I actually have to detour around the truck, Your Honor, into the roadway,
Yes.
which poses a danger.
Point of order?
We're not in a meeting, we're in a court. What would you like to tell me,
Well,
sir?
I'd just like to tell you that I don't think Mr. Carson runs.
That is not true, Your Honor. I do run frequently at night past Mr. Letterman's home.
How far do you run?
Several miles.
Several months.
Oh.
You could admonish the plaintiff not to make the issue.
Let me take the stake away. I don't like the old.
Yes.
Let me ask you something, Mr. Letterman.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
claim
Your
that the truck was damaged, the headlight was damaged? or
Absolutely.
something?
I have
Did you
proof
have it
of it.
repaired?
I have estimates to have it repaired. I have 3 estimates to have it repaired.
Did I see them?
See the estimates?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me get them from my massive briefs here. Would you be good enough to pass those? Oh, I also have an affidavit, a sworn statement of a gentleman who looks after my home that the truck, in fact, was damaged upon its return. And notarized. It was notarized.
Good. Well,
a photograph
you've given me 2 estimates, sir.
Yeah, I know. My dog ate the other one.
All right.
May I interject, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
As you can see, that the headlight was not damaged when the truck was on stage. The truck was returned to Mr. Letterman's home, where it sat on the street unguarded.
Well, who drove the truck back?
Our staff returned the truck to Mr. Letterman's house.
Do you have an affidavit from anyone from the staff that when you brought it back, it was not damaged at all, sir?
Oh, yes.
Do you have it with you?
Well, I'll get it for you. My staff will give me whatever I want, sir.
Sir, you sound suspiciously like some of my litigants.
No, sir. The truck was returned to Mr. Letterman's home, but the truck sat out there for 3 days before Mr. Letterman realized that the headlight hadn't been damaged.
It's a blatant miscarriage of justice.
Were you living there, Mr. Letterman, at the time?
Absolutely. I have photographic evidence, by the
You
way.
were staying there at the time the truck was parked for
yeah.
3 days?
Yeah. But I have...
Something tells me you weren't.
Well,
Mr. Letterman actually was in New York, Your Honor, at that time.
Were you in New York, Mr. Letterman?
Oh, all right, damn it.
Your Honor, that Mr. Letterman suffered no actual damages
I have
whatsoever.
photographic evidence right here, by the way.
When were those photographs taken?
These pictures were taken 4/22/86, 4 days after I asked for my truck to be returned. I asked if it could be returned that evening and was told laughingly that it would have to wait till Tuesday.
All right.
So they could do some of this wonderful body work on it.
Who took these pictures, Mr. Letterman?
I took those pictures.
You didn't take the one of yourself,
Yeah,
did
I'm
you?
just testing the camera.
Does he look like this?
Yeah, no, it's a common practice among comedians, Your Honor, to play practical jokes and stunts from time to time. It's almost an internecine thing that comedians do. This is, at worst, is a practical joke, and Mr. Letterman suffered no actual damages whatsoever.
What other damage did you suffer, Mr. Letterman, other than this headlight that you allege?
I didn't get to use the truck for 4 days. I use it on the weekends. I take it down to San Diego and bring some friends over the border.
There's no proof, Your Honor, that the truck is even in operating condition or actually runs.
I could go on for a long time, gentlemen, and I'm sure you have other evidence to present, but I think I've probably heard enough, so I'm going to take a short recess, and I'll come back and give you my decision.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're welcome.
right back with the judge's decision.
You may be seated, gentlemen. I don't know if you can take this unless you're sitting down. Let me tell you first that by taking the car, Mr. Carson, you did it because it was a nuisance. That's what you're alleging. If it was truly a private nuisance, you can abate the nuisance. If it's on public property, which it was. If it wasn't a nuisance and you abated it using self-help, you're guilty of conversion. If you're guilty of conversion, you're liable for damages.
Here you go. Conversion. If I've ever seen a converter, it's this guy.
Mr. Letterman, it's my turn.
I'm sorry. I lost my head. Forgive me.
He's lucky I'm not a comedian. I could have said something. A nuisance is defined as something that is injurious to health, or is indecent or offensive to the senses, or something that interferes with a comfortable enjoyment of life or property.
All of those.
It's not a very pretty sight. It's not a very pretty truck. But I must agree with Mr. Letterman that it's not a nuisance.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's not a nuisance.
Oh, thank God.
When we say
Thank
it's
the Lord.
offensive, it has to be offensive to a reasonable person and not just offensive to Johnny Carson. Now,
Thank you.
by that I don't suggest, sir, that you're not reasonable. I say it's an objective standard. It's a reasonable man standard. It's not or a reasonable woman standard. So you didn't have any right to take the truck. You did. You did it as a practical joke, perhaps as a gag. But the light was damaged, and from the evidence that I've heard, it's probably damaged in your possession. Therefore, I find that you're liable to Mr. Letterman the sum of $24.95.
Oh, $24.95.
Yes. And the stakes go back to Mr. Letterman.
Oh,
Yes.
thank you very much.
You can have the stakes.
Oh, that's very generous of you, Ron. Thank you very much.
Well, you've reached a decision, and we have to... we both agreed to abide by this decision. There's no appeal, right?
That's right. You signed an agreement that you would be bound.
And so there is $25.
Thank you very much.
You owe me 5 cents.
I have it right here. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I realize you're an honest judge because a lot of people were saying because you were on the Tonight Show, you would probably rule in my favor.
Yeah.
But you ruled in
Who would say a thing
Well,
like that?
some of my staff who've got a lot of explaining to do after this is over. I thought this was a lock if there ever was one. Judge Wapner, thank you so much for being with
Pleasure.
us. We enjoyed having you. Come back and see us. David,
John,
thank you. No, I'm sorry. You got your money. We'll see you soon. Good night.